Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sasha. Today I have a library haul for you, but before I haul those books, I have my Bookish Cupid gift, and I'm very excited to show you this. So, my Bookish Cupid was Steph from Steph OK, and I'm going to link her channel down below in the description. So, Steph sent me lovely things. First, she sent me this sweet note, and the envelope even had little arrows. Oh, it's cute. She also sent me a notebook, very sparkly, and this lovely bookmark, which was great since I live in Florida. And then for the book, she sent me Half Moon Investigations by Ian Colfer. Ian Colfer, I believe, wrote the Artemis Fowl series, which I have not read. But this, she said she sent me because she heard I like mysteries, so I'm excited to read about some mysteries. Thank you, Steph. So, the first thing I have is not a book. It is a television show, a Korean drama, and it is called Guardian, the Great and Only God. And I don't know if anybody watches my channel who also watches Korean dramas, but we just finished this last night, and I am still emotional. We watched episode 15 and 16, and I cried so many times. I full out sobbed at the last episode, like, multiple times. I'm getting emotional, but please, if you've watched this, comment down below so I can yell about it with you. So I thought I'd start out with the books I am currently reading that I got from the library. The first is Severance by Ling Ma. And this is about Candace Chen, who is living in New York when this fever called Shen fever kind of takes over the world and turns everybody into zombies. They're not really zombies, they don't try to hurt anybody, but they're sick and they're just doing things that they used to do, like setting tables and pretending to eat and pretending to read. It's very interesting illness. But it sort of flashes back and forth between her present times as a member of this group trying to find a safe place to stay, and her time before as she got a new job and is sort of like just getting used to New York. It's very good so far. Next I have Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is the group book for Derry, Maine for the BookTube games, and I am struggling to read this. I'm buddy reading it with Chrissy from the Return Cart, and I feel like she is also struggling. I'm not particularly enjoying it right now. I'm on page 69, I believe. I'm really hoping it'll pick up soon, which is funny because I usually only give books 50 pages before I DNF them if I'm not enjoying them. But this would be so many pages for the BookTube games. I only have 2 days left. I don't know. We'll try. We're gonna try. Gonna try and struggle through it. Lastly, I have Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West by Cormac McCarthy. And I'm reading this because my friend Amy from Amy Gets Lit is doing a series on this called What the F Does This Mean? And she sort of goes a couple chapters at a time and does a deeper dive into kind of what some of certain lines mean, some certain passages, and I'm really enjoying it. It's not something I thought I would enjoy. I'm not particularly big on westerns, but it's very, Cormac McCarthy writes in a way that kind of it's easy to read but not easy at the same time because of how much hyper violence there is. But it's a, probably because of living in the South, I can understand the syntax, and just the way he writes is very atmospheric, so I'm enjoying it a lot. Next are two books I just got, because I had filmed this video yesterday, but it got corrupted, unfortunately, and so if you had watched this yesterday, the one that I had filmed, you would know I had Friday Black, but I finished that in one day because it was so good, and so I decided to return that to the library and pick up one of the things I had in hold, which is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, I've been wanting to read this because Katie from Chapter Stacks, who's one of my favorite booktubers, had recommended this at some point, but I saw the movie, and it blew me away. It was so good, and so it gave me extra reason to pick this up, and so I'm hoping it will also blow me away. And I also got An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. And this is about a girl who joins a psychological study, and then the study ends, but she doesn't know if the study has really ended, and she gets paranoid. I've seen this on some thriller channels like A Beautiful Chaos of Books and what everyone else is reading, and I really liked the sound of it, so I thought I'd pick it up. So next is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. This was the January book of the month for the year of Horror Book Club, but I never got to it. And this book is about a woman whose son commits an atrocity, kills a bunch of his fellow students, and she is dealing with it 2 years later by writing letters to her estranged husband. And this is a book that could possibly trigger my PTSD. But I am sick of avoiding things that could trigger me, and so I'm gonna pick it up anyway. Yay me! Probably not yay for my PTSD. Next is the March book of the month for the year of Horror Book Club, and it's Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and I know the new movie's coming out, but I saw the first adaptation, and that scarred me because I was kind of young, but I loved it personally, and I'm excited to get scarred again in book form. And it's called The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapena, and it is about a couple who is like the American dream, and they go, I don't even know if this is set in America. Anyway, they go to a dinner party and leave the baby at home, I believe, and then they come home and the baby is like missing or something happened to the baby. I've heard it's not super good, but I'm also not an experienced thriller reader. I haven't like gotten to that point where I'm like, this thriller is so formulaic. I'd want a good thriller, and it seems pretty short and fast, so I'm hoping I will like it. Next, I have The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval or Levi. I have been taking Spanish at college, so every time I see two L's, I want to pronounce it as E. Levi. But it's really probably Laval because it sounds French. This is about a musician who is involved in a magical world, and he delivers something to a witch and gets further pulled into this magical world, and it sounds very good. It's based on, I believe, a H.P. Lovecraft book or short story. And I heard about it from Jesse of Books and Bowties and Books, so I'm excited to read it. Next I have one that I don't know very much about. It is called House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, and I am picking this up on recommendation from Amy. I don't know like pretty much anything about this, but just like the way it's like set up, like the way the words are on the page looks very interesting to me. Like what it looks like a maze, and Amy said it's kind of spooky, so I am excited to pick this up. Oh, my back. Next is a chunker, and this is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I've been wanting to pick up a Joe Hill book for a long time because he's raved about on the horror side of BookTube. And this is about Victoria, who goes through a bridge and finds herself wherever she needs to be. And also a guy who rides around in a car with a vanity plate. What is his name? It's really serial killery. Charles Talent Manx. If that's not a serial killer name, I don't know what is. He picks up kids and brings them somewhere called Christmasland and does things to them. And I believe Victoria and Charles meet and something goes down. So I am excited for this book. Next I have In Extremis, The Life and Death of the War Correspondent Marie Colvin by Lindsay Hillsum. I've already hauled this book. I'm not going to explain what it's about. But look up Marie Colvin, as I've said a million times. She's fascinating. Next I have Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I was originally looking for Radio Silence by Alice Oseman because Kat from Paperback Dreams is always raving about it. She loves it. And I was like, well, I want to pick up that just based on the stellar recommendation of Tears. But I've realized my library doesn't have that book. So I picked up Solitaire instead. And it is about Tori, who doesn't like people. But then one day, a guy named Michael wants to be her friend really bad. So gets involved in this group called Solitaire, who is committing pranks around the school. And she kind of feels like she's in on an inside joke. Until one day, the pranks go too far. And it's about like finding yourself. And since I have never found myself, I think this could be a helpful book. Next is The Girl Who Smiled Beads by Clementine Wamaria and Elizabeth Weil. And this is about Clementine and her experiences running away from the war of in Rwanda, and kind of afterwards dealing with her trauma as she becomes a refugee in the United States. And I picked this up for Blackathon, and I feel like it's going to make me cry. So next I have Pride by E.B. Zaboy, a Pride and Prejudice remix. I am going to be buddy reading this with Chrissy from the Return Cart. It is about, I believe her name is Zuri Benitez, who is very prideful, or has a lot of pride in who she is, and is not a fan of the fact that her neighborhood is getting gentrified. And then one day, the wealthy Darcy family moves in across the street. She doesn't want anything to do with them. But her sister falls for one of the brothers, the younger sons of the Darcy family. And I have not yet read Pride and Prejudice, the original version, even though I desperately want to. I even have Pride and Prejudice and Zombie. I don't know how I got that before the actual Pride and Prejudice, but here we are. I also loved the movie with Keira Knightley. I'm just one of those people who's like obsessed with it. Oh, I'm so obsessed with it. I have it on DVD still. So I'm excited to start this. I'm excited about all these books. That's just the theme of this video, is excitement. And lastly, I have Sadie by Courtney Summers. Ooh, I love that effect of glare and just setting off my light balance because I don't have lighting. This is about a guy who starts a podcast about this murder, and it's also about the girl who is the sister of the murder victim who is out for revenge, and kind of their dual perspectives. And I heard this is fantastic on audiobook, but because my library doesn't have this on audiobook, I thought I would read it in its book form and then later on try to find it in audiobook. So every time I go into the library now, I get stares from the librarians. Like, is this kid really here to pick up more books? Like, I'm positive that they hate me by now. But this is my haul. It is a lot. I don't know how many books are here, and I'm not going to count them because I think I did yesterday and I forgot how many are here. So that's the video. Comment down below if you liked any of these books or hated any of these books. If you are reading along with any of the books that I am reading, just comment down below and say hi if you want. And that is the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.